welcome everyone to episode 3 of the RedMancunian podcast. This week we will be discussing United's 4-1 win at Swansea City away.
Not only that, but we'll be taking a look into United's derisory and insulting bid for Fellaini and Baines, the under-21s against Liverpool, and previewing the Chelsea game. So, welcome everybody, episode 3 of the RedMancunian.com Manchester United podcast.
Episode 3, good to be back. Episode 2 was well received, wasn't it?
It was. I think we peaked at number 4 in the iTunes Sports Podcast chart, which is obviously fantastic. Thank you to everyone that downloaded us there.
That's all right. We don't want to settle for being the Arsenal of podcasting.
All right, well, we will try to do better, but certainly thank you for your support to get us to that point. However briefly we actually held the position.
Yeah, just under Colin Murray on 5 Live. Which is
There's a position everyone wants to be.
Yes, under Colin Murray.
So with us this week, Craig as usual.
Hello.
Nick, you're back again.
All right.
And a new member to the team, Mark.
Hello.
How are you, Mark?
I'm okay. How are we all?
We are good. Mark, you're my seatmate in Old Trafford, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Yeah, we've. I didn't want to tell you boys this before. We've actually relocated inside the stadium.
Oh, where have you... you're the... Because you weren't sat together before, were you?
No, but Darren's ended the season ticket, haven't we? So we've united, but we were a little bit late. And what's the consequence of this, Mark?
We're kind of stuck in East Tier 2.
Oh, say it quietly.
With all the kids counting down.
No. Hold on. Right. So Mark and I went to the ticket office. Right, we were there, and we're all set to go. You know, I want to be somewhere in the lower tier. Like, I've moved out of the corner between the Stretford and the North stand. And the woman goes, "There's literally nothing left." And I mean, what are you talking about? You've got like a season ticket waiting list. There's adverts everywhere. And she's like, "There's very little left." So then we go. Mark and I said, "Right, well, we also want extra legroom seats."
Because if you didn't know,
Don't ask for much.
we are both large.
Yeah.
Larger
Anyway,
than
she
the average United fan.
She looked at us the same way that Roberto Martinez probably looked at that fax from Old Trafford containing the bid for Fellaini and Baines. But nevertheless, she found us some extra legroom seats in East Tier 2. And
Tier 2.
She even turned the computer, though,
Wow.
to show us that all the Thomas Cook people had been moved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so everyone around us was season ticket holders, isn't it, Mark?
Yes, they are.
And that was a condition of our
That is
our
good
moving
news,
up
though,
there.
because those listening that don't come to Old Trafford, they do normally put all the schools, and Thomas Cook have all their tourists up there, and the atmosphere in East Tier 2.
Well, it's going to be awesome now.
It's where atmosphere goes to die.
Me and Sam are there.
Yeah,
It's going to be cracking.
We'll
So you've
be,
got extra legroom.
yeah.
Right behind
got
not the turnstile. What is it? The gangway.
Oh, well, the stairs come
Yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
right
right.
behind. It's nice.
And even better than that, we've got Mark's lift pass because he broke his ankle once in 1980.
It wasn't 1980. It was 3 years ago, and I earned my lift pass.
That's good news you've moved, and hopefully we'll hear about that after the Chelsea game.
Yes, we will. But first, we should probably get on to the very first game of the season for United, which was, of course, Swansea away.
RedMancunian.com.
So, Manchester United first game of the season, a 4-1 victory away to Swansea City. 2 goals for Van Persie, 2 goals to Welbeck. Nick, what did you think of the game?
Well, the results were fantastic start for Moyes, fantastic start to the season. But first half hour, it didn't really look like it was going to pan out that way. We looked like we were in danger of being overrun for a bit.
We looked a bit edgy, didn't we?
Very, yeah. It took a long time to settle down. It took that goal from Van Persie, the first one, just almost out of nowhere to really almost against the run of play and just settle us down.
He's different class, isn't he?
It's
different gravy.
Almost over the summer, like you forget just how good he is, and he's just reminded us in these 2 games so far just what an incredible player he is, one of the best around.
Yeah, he's a cracking player, isn't he? I love him. I do. He's just the best thing that I've ever seen play since Eric Cantona, including Berbatov, and I loved him.
Ronaldo?
Yeah, Ronaldo was Ronaldo.
Here we go.
You expected from Ronaldo.
And you don't expect from Van Persie?
Well, yeah, I do, because I've seen him deliver, but I didn't. I was expecting an old man that was going to get injured, and he's not. He's robbing Van Persie.
But it's that point that we all made numerous times last season, how we knew he was good, but we didn't know he was that good. You just see from watching him every week just how incredible a player he is.
It's his movement as well. You might not be able to get it on TV, but when you're there at the ground, you actually see the movement he makes, even when the ball's in defence. He's constantly moving.
It's just
pulling
like perpetual
defenders
motion.
away.
I think the thing you miss as well is that he does so much off the ball, and like the 5 times he runs into the box and does something to the defender are all to get that defender set up, so that the 6th time when the cross comes in,
he does something different.
He's free. And the first goal against Swansea, his foot was higher than his head. To hook that in, and there was just that desire there. He wanted to score more than Ashley Williams wanted to stop the goal, which doesn't surprise many people.
It was a brilliant goal.
It was awesome, and even the second, which was a tap in, the movement from Welbeck was fantastic. Tony V did absolutely brilliantly. He popped a cross in, and he picked Danny out perfectly.
Yeah.
The movement from Van Persie for that one was fantastic, though. Just for when the initial cross came in, he made 3 or 4 quite sort of subtle movements, but just completely disorientated Williams. And that's what led to the ball flicking onto Tony V. And the other thing, Welbeck scoring that sort of goal, we're going to talk about his other goal later, but it's really encouraging to see him getting in those positions to score those tap-ins. Like Moyes said, that was the one that pleased him most. Cause
he actually did well to get on that, though. If you think about how fast the ball came at him, and to actually twist his body and get his foot to put the ball in the net, it looked quite difficult.
Yeah, I mean,
for a tap-in,
Yeah, and everyone's been banging on all over the weekend about how Danny didn't score enough goals last year, seemingly forgetting that he was played on the left wing for nearly the entire season.
Stats, though, don't they? Stats over the actual, what happened. He was played on the wing most of the season. I mean, you look at Nick, who's, as you say, Danny Welbeck's biggest fan, owner of the fan club. Well,
driver of the bandwagon. It's fast filling up though, so everyone better jump on board quickly.
Jay Motti, I think, was number 2 on that bandwagon, wasn't he? He's your co-pilot.
There's a few who've been banging the drum quite rightly for a while now.
But do you think this is going to be his season now? I mean,
I've been thinking
if
for a while.
Wayne Rooney leaves as well, Hernandez coming back from injury, do you think the top 2 every week is going to be Van Persie and Welbeck?
I think there'll still be a lot of rotation. Hernandez, we saw how many goals he scored last year. He deserves his chances as well, because he's a fantastic striker too. But I do think we'll see lots more of Welbeck in a central position, and he'll get a lot more goals. The goals are there. We saw that in his first proper season with United. We've seen it in the reserves. We've seen it with England. Just a case of
his England record is stunning, really.
Particularly the sort of goals he's been scoring, the importance of the goals. Just we know it's there. It's just a case of the composure and the consistency coming in. He's still 22. People sort of expect the finished product at 21, 20 these days, and it's just not realistic, apart from in certain special cases.
So, Van Persie's second, beautiful individual effort, and some good work from Rooney, in fairness, for that one as well.
Yeah, it was a good move, but I think that goal was all about the finish. The run from Rooney to create the space was excellent.
It was that little check back and then go from Van Persie that did it.
Yeah, and the power behind the shot.
56.2 miles an hour or something.
That was going some.
He could have killed someone with that shot.
He could have done.
Hey! But yeah, then we go on to Danny Welbeck finishing it off for Manchester United.
And as you said, Nick, the composure that was there for that one.
It's confidence. Strikers, especially the ones you see it, once it's flowing through their veins, they just pull things like that off. And Welbeck's got that ability to score that sort of goal. We've seen the flicks that he scored for England, some of the ones he scored for the reserves. He's got that in his locker, and just...
You know what I loved about it? It's that beautiful sort of like stab at the ball, but you also you almost take your foot away immediately after you've hit it.
To do that, Rooney's been trying that for 5 years. And he hasn't done it, and Danny does it first time.
And he knew it was in as soon as he hit it.
He started celebrating before it had actually hit the net, didn't he? But that kind of goal is just, as you say, Nick, striker confidence.
And that goal and that game could be such a sort of turning point for his career. Really push him on. And hopefully he pushes on from here, and we see him score double figures at least this season.
And it's good to see the confidence that Moyes obviously has in him.
Yeah,
it's beyond more the confidence Danny's got in David Moyes to know that he's going to be there and played in the right position to actually get into goal scoring opportunities and put them away.
Yeah,
starter against Chelsea, guaranteed.
I would start him.
Yeah,
I would,
so
without a shadow of a doubt.
I don't see you can drop him after that, really. I mean, we've seen in the past players score loads of goals and get dropped because it's such a big squad and these games come thick and fast. But he's put himself in prime position to play that one.
Well, we don't know about Hernandez yet, whether he's back playing or not after his knee injury. He hasn't played behind closed doors, but he may feature in the under-21s or anything like that. So
he loves a goal against Chelsea, so you never know.
Yeah, he always
early.
You
remember, the decider, more or less, season before last.
What, the 31-second goal?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. That was.
Psyched out check.
I think that was probably, other than Real Madrid, possibly the best atmosphere at Old Trafford of recent times. There was so much on the line that day.
Well, it all changed after that goal, didn't it? It was a bit nervy, and then everyone was just kind of on one after that, weren't they? 90 minutes of just, we're going to do it now.
So all in all, an impressive performance by Manchester United. A 4-1 away victory at Swansea.
Briefly top of the league.
Yeah. And now we're going to talk about the under-21s who lost 4-2 to Liverpool at the start of the week.
The Manchester United Podcast by RedMancunian.
So, confession time, boys. I've been moving house this week, so I didn't actually see this game. According to my girlfriend, I'm late 20s now. So I thought it was time to get on the
So
property
you've moved
ladder.
house now, yeah?
Yeah.
Bought a property.
I own some bricks. I co-own some bricks.
Have you
And how's that going? How's all the moving going?
Very well, other than a severe thumb injury that I've sustained.
Yeah, you've turned up to the studio this evening with one of your thumbs kind of... It's basically tissue and sellotape.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. I thought I'm a homeowner now, right? You know, and I like to cook. So I went out and got this set of really sharp, awesome knives.
Right.
So I was having a bacon sandwich lunchtime today, as you do. And I went right through my thumb with the bread knife. And the plasters were in a box packed somewhere. I don't know where it is. So I've improvised with some tissue paper and sellotape.
As we could see, the blood is coming through to the sellotape.
Yeah, don't worry. I nearly passed out at the sight of it, but it's fine. We can all laugh and joke about it now.
And how was your bacon sandwich?
Yeah, well, it was good. I needed it, honestly, to keep me going after the savage injury.
So what's this got to do with the under-21s?
Well, I've been moving house, so I didn't have the internet or Sky,
I see.
and I was actually moving on the night of the game. So
right, yeah, it was played Monday night at the Salford City Stadium, a brand new location for the young Reds. Nick, Mark, what do we think of the location?
I don't like it. I prefer Altrincham.
Do you?
So you were there, Mark, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I prefer Altrincham. It's rustic. It's nice. It's a place to watch football.
See, I fought for Altrincham last week, and Nick valiantly provided balance, fighting for Salford Stadium, even though I'm not sure you necessarily agree.
Oh, no, I much preferred Altrincham.
Yeah. So tell me about the atmosphere there.
It wasn't very football atmosphere. It was more sterile. There was stewards everywhere, and they just wouldn't leave people alone. You wouldn't let you sit where you wanted. You weren't allowed to stand. With terraces, they wouldn't let you stand. It's ridiculous. I wanted to stand up, and the woman said, "No, go and sit down." I went and found a seat. Steward came up and said, "You can't sit there." What am I supposed to do?
So how many people were there?
Over 1,000 there, though. I mean,
Nearly
we only
2,000.
normally get about 300 to Moss Lane, if we're lucky. They did address the car parking.
Did they?
The car parking was free.
Oh, right.
Originally, at the Tottenham game last season, it was £5. But presumably, hopefully, it'll be free every single game.
Apparently so.
Well, that's something at least then, I suppose. But it doesn't sound like the atmosphere is particularly good then, or particularly conducive to getting those 1,000 people to regularly turn up.
No, I don't think I'd want to go back to Salford. I really didn't like it.
But enough about the atmosphere. How was the game? We lost 4-2 to Liverpool. Personally watching, I thought it was an impressive performance by Adnan Januzaj.
Januzaj, yes.
He had a fantastic game. Nick, what did you think?
He was by far the best player on the park, as we've come to expect really these days. Liverpool resorted to basically kicking him every time he got the ball, which was a lot. And how they didn't pick up more yellow cards for some of the fouls they committed on him was a bit ridiculous. And they didn't really need to do that because they were a good side with some really good players, but it seemed like there was a very specific plan to target him.
We started really well, though, didn't we?
Excellent
Opening goal.
Yeah. It was an excellent goal from Lionel Cole. A really nice move with Adnan and Lingard and Manik Vermay pulling the ball back for Lionel Cole to finish at the second attempt. And things were looking good then, but it was two individual mistakes, and Liverpool scored 3 goals in about 10 minutes and completely changed the game, and we were chasing it after that.
Mistake from Michael Keane at the back. He was unfortunate with that control, but let that Bellini in, didn't he, for their second, after Iber got in there first.
He struggled with Bellini.
Yeah, he
Michael,
looked
he really did.
a bit of muscle, didn't he?
Yeah, Tom Thorpe dealt with him a lot better in the second half than Michael did in the first.
That was interesting. Tom Thorpe really stood out alongside Michael Keane, who's obviously the more experienced, the higher rated by most, but Tom Thorpe's sort of under the radar. He's coming along very nicely. He made his under-21 debut for England last week, so he could have a big season ahead of him.
And a second goal for United from Jesse Lingard.
Another really good move, again, from Adnan, and Lionel Cole just laid it off to Jesse on the edge of the box and a really smart finish past the keeper. And you thought at that point we might push on and level up, but then the second half, we dominated the second half, but just couldn't break them down, couldn't create chances, and then they caught us on the counter again with another individual mistake, a poor back pass from Tom Lawrence, but gifted Rooney.
It was a bad back pass, wasn't
Terrible.
it? Ben Amos couldn't do anything.
It was an attacking player's sort of back pass. He wasn't sort of looking for where the striker was, just played it back without looking and gifted it, really.
Well, that's the under-21s. Nick, I know it wasn't on MUTV. Not many people got down, but the under-18s lost 2-1 to West Ham. Do we know anything about that game?
Just going off the highlights from the word of people who were there, it seemed like a pretty even game. West Ham are a really good side at that level and scored a couple of good goals. We had a period in the second half that their manager admitted we played them off the park and should probably have got right back into it. But all we got in the end was a very late penalty from James Wilson, which wasn't enough. But encouraging start. There were some good performances. So we'll see how they get on in the next few games.
Yeah, who have they got next this weekend?
Stoke City on Saturday, I think, away again.
Away. The under-21s are away today. That's Friday, in which me and Nick are travelling down to West Brom. So hopefully we'll have some insight from that match as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep, good stuff. Shall we move on to the next subject? This might be a bit of a mass debate.
Oh dear, that's bad. It's like Tommy's back in the room. Let's move on to the next topic, which is, of course, our derisory and insulting bids for both Fellaini and Baines.
RedMancunian.com, your weekly United podcast.
So we put the bids in. Rumoured 28 million for both, which seems a little cheap. What probably most people would say. Now, as Tommy's not here, I've taken it upon myself to come up with a theory.
Oh, is it good?
Well, I think it's good.
Better than Andy's.
You will be the judge of that.
Yeah, you can be the judge
Or
of that.
Tomo could be the judge of this when he gets back.
Yeah, we can.
Sam series.
Exactly. I've got 2 possible theories with this bid.
Okay.
The first one is as follows. No one knows the finances of Everton Football Club better than David Moyes. Now, we know that Everton aren't flowing in money. They've had debt problems for a while. I think Bill Kenwright's been fairly forthcoming with that. Yeah. So what if, say by the end of the transfer window, the bank have said to Everton, you need to have X amount in your bank account, or you need to have brought the debt down by so much. If United are coming in with these bids, it might be specifically aimed at
their target.
Yeah, with some insider knowledge at saying, okay, well, we know through, let's face it, nefarious means that you're going to need to hit a certain level. Perhaps that's something that Moyes has had to do for the last 11 years. That's why we're offering you that amount.
They surely warrant more money than that, though.
Well, yeah, whether they warrant it or not, I don't know what you want United to do. Go in and say, okay, well, they're probably worth 40 million, so here's 45 just because you're a nice club down the road. Like, you're not going to do that, are you?
I suppose not, but you want to at least offer something that's reasonably, in the market of what's acceptable.
Well, you look at it, but Everton signed Leighton Baines in 2007 for 5 million from Wigan, and then they signed Fellaini for 15 million back in 2008. So you weigh that up, you're looking at 20 million there, and 5 years down the line. They are worth 30 million, aren't they? I mean, Fellaini, how old's Fellaini?
25, I think.
And Baines, 29. So 28 million is cheeky, but in business, I like your theory.
Yeah, I just think this is how negotiating works. You don't go in and say, I think in my head, I've just bought a house. I didn't go into the people that own the house and said, I think your house is worth X, so I'll give you X plus 10,000 quid. That's not how it works, is it? I went in like 20 grand cheaper and
what? So you could buy a knife set to cut your thumb off?
Well, that's a happy coincidence of me having negotiated the house price. But this is how negotiating works. You go in with a lower bid. So you get some feedback on that bid. Obviously, they said it was derisory and insulting.
That's good feedback.
In the most ridiculously worded press release I've ever seen. Grammatical errors all over the shop. This is from a director of communications, and you can't write a grammatically correct press statement. I think is ridiculous. But I have not yet gone to my second theory.
Oh,
intriguing!
I thought we only had one.
No.
Crack on, son. Crack on.
There was a lot of fuss after the bid became public that
which Everton made public.
Well,
United have not commented.
This is my
yet.
point. People were saying, United have done that to unsettle Fellaini and Baines. But surely if that was the case, United would have been the ones that would have leaked the bid. Until Everton confirmed the bid, nobody other than I presume whoever faxes it from Old Trafford. Definitely, all transfer business is still done by fax in my head. Whoever faxes it from Old Trafford to Goodison, those are the people that know. So if you don't want to unsettle your players, don't make the bid public.
True.
Which begs the question why you make the bid public. And after Arsenal's disastrous result of the weekend and their previous interest in Fellaini, I think Everton made the bid public to try and smoke out a bidding war between United and Arsenal for Fellaini services. So, thoughts on my theories?
I think there's another theory you've missed.
What's that then?
That we really don't have any money. That's the best it's ever going to get.
No, I mean, we are reported to be putting in a £35 million bid in now.
That's more acceptable.
Martinez, again, has come out, piped up saying, we're wasting our time, basically.
He's got to say that, though.
Yeah. I mean,
I think we are wasting our time.
Everybody,
we don't need him.
Yeah, but if we went by that, this transfer window, then every manager is wasting their time trying to buy anyone at all.
Well, they are if you ask Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, well, Wenger's a special case. If you ask AVB, then he's not wasting his time. He's signed up half the best players available around the globe.
He's got a big budget now, though, hasn't he?
Well, he has. It's interesting. If Bale doesn't go for any reason, I mean, I think he will. Obviously, I think it's more or less done at this point.
Be a done deal, effectively.
Yeah, but imagine if Bale turned round now and said, "Actually, I'm not going,"
or failed his medical.
Levy would just be like, "What? I've just spent all this money."
You think some West End gangster's going to come for Daniel Levy's thumbs? I want Willian or the left pinky.
But if he doesn't go, Bale's going to have to pay another 6 months or another 12 months car tax. You see that? And the Daily Star ran an article.
I've no idea what you're on about.
The Daily Star ran an article that he must be leaving because his car tax is up at the end of August. Oh, dear.
Is this the level that we're at now in journalism in this country?
For the Daily Star, that's actually fairly concrete.
Have they checked the DVLA just to see that he hasn't made an early renewal on his tax disc?
Oh, he'll have people that do tax for him anyway, don't you? Like, can you imagine Gareth Bale popping down the local post office to fill in his tax?
With all the grannies on a Tuesday.
No, it's just not going to happen, is it?
So what do we think? 35 million. Are we going to get Fellaini and Baines?
God,
do we want them?
No.
You don't want either?
I wouldn't mind Fellaini. I've always said I'd take Fellaini as like the second midfielder we got. And I guess it's getting to the stage where he might be the only midfielder we get, and I'd reluctantly settle for that. But Baines, no. Going back to the Swansea game, Evra was excellent again. We don't need Baines. He's maybe 3 years younger. I still don't think he's an upgrade. It's just, I don't understand why we're so desperate to get him. Like, we were linked with Luke Shaw in a couple of the papers a couple of days ago, and that would make much more sense to me if we're not convinced by Fabio or, Butner. But I don't think anyone's convinced by Butner at left back.
No.
Luke Shaw does look like a fantastic prospect, but just signed a new 5-year deal.
He's going to cost a lot, but So is Baines by the looks of it, and I'd much rather stick a
spend
few
it on a
extra
younger
million
player.
to Southampton and get Luke Shaw, someone who could be our left back for the next sort of 10, 15 years.
And Butner going to Besiktas on loan.
By the sounds of it, yeah, that's a good move for him. He's never going to be the answer at left back for United, and with Fabio back and the possibility of another left back coming in, he's not going to get any games with us, so makes sense to move him on for a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like Butner. Oh no, I don't know. No, I like him. I just don't think he fits. I don't think he's quality enough to take Evra's position.
He's just not a good defender. That's at the end of the day. You know, if he'd come in as a middling Premier League team's left winger, then you know perhaps he could have carved himself out a career. But his defensive positioning is shocking.
Yeah, well, Evra's positioning is not exactly perfect.
Oh, I'm not saying it's perfect, but like Evra is like a damn sight better than Butner.
He's learnt it. In fairness, Evra took a while in his career to sort of really convert to a left back and get that defensive side down. So I wouldn't totally write off Butner making a decent left back at some point, but it's not going to happen at United.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Evra, I think this will be his final season at Old Trafford. His age, he'll go to Monaco, he'll earn money over there. But Baines, is he the right choice for United? I'm going to go with yes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to go against the mould and say Baines, he'll have a season in and out with Evra this season if he comes in. And then he'll take direct over next season. And I think he's going to be a good player.
At which point Baines will be 30.
He's got 3 years left and we've paid 20 million quid for him. Seems like a waste.
I think the last thing we want to be doing is rotating in defence as well. I'm not a big fan of sort of having someone in like for a couple of games and then someone else.
Yeah, but the amount of games Manchester United will play this season, Evra can't play every Carling Cup.
I'd rather see like whenever he's resting, and he does need more of a rest than he has been getting in previous years. He plays an insane amount of games, and that can't have helped with the form when it dipped a couple of years ago. But if he needs resting for cup games and the other league game, Fabio's more than able for me to play those games and give him the rest he needs.
Especially in the games where you think he would be rested.
Yeah.
You're not going to rest him for a Chelsea, are you?
No, I'm all for resting him more, but I don't see the need to buy in another experienced senior left back to rotate with him for that. I'd bring in Shaw and then you could ease him in gently, and that would make much more sense to me than... I can't see Baines with the World Cup wanting to only sporadically play. So he'd come in, presumably with insurances that he's going to be the starter.
Yeah, this Baines deal just still doesn't make any sense to me. You know, it's like... I can get on board with Fellaini because there's such a glaring hole in the midfield, especially cover-wise as well. Yeah. Imagine if Monday night against Chelsea, Carrick tears his ACL. Then we're like, what are we going to do then? What would we do?
Tom Cleverley. Woo.
But Cleverley can't play in midfield on his own.
Cleverley can't play in midfield. Full stop.
I don't know about that.
I'm not a fan. Nick's not happy with me.
You'd rather have Anderson over Cleverley?
I'd much rather have Anderson over Cleverley.
What's your beef with young TC23?
TC23 has issues. I think he tries too hard to play the Hollywood pass, and the technique. I don't know what it is. Is it technique? The way he kicks the football just winds me up.
I don't even know what you mean by that.
The way he kicks the ball, he's trying to be David Beckham. He positions his body and he curves his foot onto the ball, even for a straight pass, and he throws his body at the ball. He's ridiculous.
I could definitely see that. You can see he's grown up modelling his game on Beckham, but I don't think that's necessary to his detriment. I think it just...
I thought you recycled possession fairly well against Swansea.
That's one thing you can always rely on him. Like,
yeah. He's
going to complete most of his passes, he's going to move it quickly. When we're on form, a lot of it is when he moves the ball on quickly and we attack at pace. He's sort of integral to that when we do that. But when we're under pressure, like we were at the start of the Swansea game, he's not an awful lot of use sometimes.
When he's not next to Carrick, you can see the glaring holes in his game. You can see he's not good enough. Carrick, he's running a two-man game when he's playing with Cleverley.
But he's not a midfielder. He hasn't really got the defensive side to his game, and you know that about him. That's not news. He needs someone alongside him to do that. But lots of players are like that, really. You couldn't play lots of sort of attacking-minded central midfielders on their own. That's why we need someone else other than Carrick who's got defensive instincts in central midfield, which Fellaini would bring. I'd still prefer someone else, but
who would that be?
I'm not totally sure. I mean, that's not really. I guess the scouts should be out there. That worries me slightly that of all the scouts that are out there around the world, and it seems we're going in for two former Everton players.
This can Is it Ken Drogbia?
Kondogbia from Sevilla, yeah.
He looks good.
I like him a lot. He'd be another young one.
Radar a little bit.
I'd be quite happy with that. I think he's got a tricky release clause and his ownership's quite weird, so I'm not sure. I'm surprised someone hasn't snapped him already yet with that release clause being low. But yeah.
So to conclude, £28 million was
derisory.
Well, derisory and insulting, but nobody's really like come up with any kind of backing or criticism of my theory, so I'm happy.
No, your theories were good.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting your theories to be good. They were brilliant.
Oh, right. Well, thank you very much. I'm sure Tomo will be listening at home ripping them apart.
Yeah, Tomo's not happy. Sam's got better theories.
So let's move on to the next subject and final subject of this week's podcast, which is looking forward to Chelsea at Old Trafford.
RedMancunian, the Manchester United podcast.
So, first home game of the season for us, Monday night against Chelsea. It's been so long since I've been to Old Trafford.
It does seem.
It seems
since
like
the Swansea game.
Yeah,
that's because none of you bothered to go to Rio's testimonial.
Yeah, I could not bring myself to go to that.
Poor Rio. Nobody turned
but no,
up.
really looking forward to this Chelsea game. And, you know, the papers, the media, all going to be full of it over the weekend. It is the biggest game of the weekend. Mourinho's come out stating that he won't bid for Rooney again until after Bank Holiday Monday.
Which is basically like, I will bid for you. I will.
Yeah, I like you.
Yeah.
It's arguably
I do
worse.
want you. Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to unsettle you, but I'll buy you later.
And then he was like,
that
we've got
ethical?
we've got a plan B and C as well. But, you know, I don't want to talk about names. Like, what? Why have you been tapping Rooney up all summer?
You've got to love Mourinho's logic, haven't you?
I mean, obviously, stones and glass houses, because we've done exactly the same thing to Fabregas, but Mourinho is his own special kind of
lunatic
operator, isn't he? I mean, it'd be good to see him back in so much as he brings a circus with him.
Yeah.
But you soon see, now he's back, the sides of him that were sort of negative and that you remember really annoying you when he was last year. And
the sheer arrogance.
I mean, there are still Manchester United fans that think we got it wrong with Moyes. I mean, time will tell. But there was a lot that did want Mourinho at the club.
What do you want for the money? He won the Charity Shield and he won 4-1 away at Swansea. Is that not enough for you?
But like I said, time will tell. But fans wanted Mourinho. You know, in the long run, I think we've got it spot on with Moyes.
Do you know what I found interesting? Obviously, it was fairly clear for all to see that Mourinho was sort of courting the United job last year. And Red Issue said, the minute he doesn't get the job, then he'll turn, you know, the attitude will change completely. And that's exactly what's happened. You know, he started coming out with the little digs. You know, basically he's like a scorned woman, isn't he? Oh, well, I didn't want to work for you anyway.
Yeah. You didn't want the job.
When of course you wanted the job. You were chased out of Real Madrid. You know, like, you know, it's not like you had offers queuing up for you. But now it's all like, oh, yeah, you know, I never considered going anywhere but Chelsea. The fans are amazing here. You know, when they were all Fulham fans 10 years ago.
Brilliant. I mean, Chelsea have had a good start to the league as it goes. I mean...
Well, they haven't. 2-0 against Hull. Yes, they look good in the first half an hour. Then Mourinho football kicked in, and then it was like, oh, we've done enough here, so we'll just kill this game. And then, arguably, they should have lost against Villa, or at least a draw. Ivanovic should have been sent off, and John Terry...
What is Kevin Friend doing?
John Terry, clear handball. So... You know, when it's not all smooth sailing, as much as the Chelsea fans with their A4 printed banners would have you believe that, you know, the chosen one's back and, you know, the sunshine's come out of his arse.
But they look like Barcelona against Hull, according to Graham Souness.
Brilliant.
Graham
Barcelona
Souness.
Yeah. What chance have we got against a team that looked like Barca and then shut up shop after 2 goals?
Yeah, so that's my little mini rant over with.
I enjoyed it.
I'm looking forward to the game, especially. It wouldn't be my choice to start a game at home with an 8:00 Monday kickoff.
But
if it had to be, it's a bank holiday, so you know at least we can go out and have a few beers beforehand, get a nice Wetherspoons breakfast.
Early in that Monday morning bank holiday and all day.
I mean, that's the good thing about match days and, you know, going to the games. It's pre and post match. You know, we just rant as we're doing now, but over food and beer.
Lots of beer.
But going back to the game, how are we going to line up? will we change from Swansea to Chelsea?
I don't know what Nick thought. I think Moyes started with a sort of 4-2-3-1 against Swansea, and it was loose, but I think that was the formation that he would have drawn up. And then the minute we lost the ball, it sort of morphed into two banks of four to get into Swansea's way. I can see something similar against Chelsea because you have to be wary of their three attacking mids sitting behind whoever they go for as a striker, which for me would be Lukaku, but it seems like he's having to persevere with this Torres experiment.
I don't think we can go defensive, though. I don't think we can allow ourselves to sit back on Chelsea and let their attacking players take us on and maybe hit them on the break. I think that's the wrong place to stick ourselves so early in a Moyes' career. I think we need to go out and attack and beat Chelsea.
Moyes does that, though, doesn't he? He likes to sucker teams onto him to then... Oh, God. Such a child, Craig.
Mind's in the gutter.
He likes to encourage teams to attack him. Yeah, better.
Yep.
He's not in Kansas
so that he
anymore,
can then get in behind them.
He's at Manchester United now. He needs to up his game and he needs to attack Chelsea. He probably would have sat back against Chelsea as Everton manager, but I think as Manchester United's manager, he needs to put a bar down early and go out and beat Chelsea and show that Jose Mourinho was the wrong man for the job.
It's a good underdog tactic that playing at a club like Everton, especially against the bigger teams, that inviting teams onto you and then hitting them. But I'm not sure how often it can work at United, especially at home. I think we really need to sort of impose ourselves on the game as much as anything.
Well, it's probably only Chelsea and City that it could work against. In that, that you have to be playing a team that is going to have the same kind of attacking emphasis that you want to bring.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the space in behind them isn't going to be there.
And away from home, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Just
but
Old
not
Trafford,
Old Trafford.
No, not so much.
It's unacceptable to sit back at Old Trafford. I'm one of them fans. We're attack. We can't sit back at Old Trafford. People will get on his back and he won't like it.
Well, Fergie sat back at times.
Yeah, well, Fergie could get away with stuff, couldn't he? He was untouchable.
Rarely at Old Trafford, though, or not only so much against teams that were noticeably superior to us at that time. I don't think there was ever really any time where he sat back at Old Trafford in this sort of situation against a team probably on the same level as us. I think if Fergie was there, I don't think he'd sit back. I think he'd maybe be a bit cautious, but I think he'd at least try and impose ourselves on the game as much as sort of letting them dictate the pace of the game and the tempo.
You say sitting back. Will Rooney be sitting back on the bench, or would you go the full hog and start him?
That is the worst link.
No, that was well won. That was well done for Noah. Noah did well there. He's really thought about that one.
So Rooney, would you start him?
No.
Mark?
No, bench. He's still not fit.
Still not fit?
Still not fit. He looked tired. Substitute appearance against Swansea, 30 minutes. He looked tired. I don't think you can start him, because if he starts looking tired by half time and you have to take him off, people are going to read into that, aren't they?
The thing with this
read
is,
into him being on the bench, so
like,
lose.
My thoughts on it would be there's more on the line on this game than just the 3 points for Rooney. There's too much wrapped up in the opponent. This is a club that we know he wants to actually be at. Where's his head going to be? And we've seen him have properly dodgy patches of form when he had issues in his personal life going on. So we know that he's perhaps not one of those players that's the best at compartmentalising what's going on in his personal life with regards to
knock it off with the big words, mate.
Putting in different boxes. His personal life and his playing life. So I guess I would keep him on the bench and look for some sort of impact similar to Swansea if the game is going the way that that one did.
Would he celebrate?
If he scores, is this?
Both, really. I mean, we look back to Swansea. He didn't celebrate on both of the goals.
But is this a thing that that the media have made more of than it was necessarily the case? I've seen pictures of him clapping the away fans when he was warming up.
Yeah, none of that got printed.
No, exactly. So
it got printed somewhere.
You can
a picture in a paper.
A still picture, as I learned from my history GCSE, can be interpreted in many different ways, and it is not necessarily indicative of exactly the situation that we're in. Now, I'm not saying that Rooney's a happy boy, but I think if he scores a goal, and it's a good goal, he's going to be happy to have done that. That at the end of the day is his job and his purpose for being on that field. So I would hope that he would celebrate, but it would certainly be a powerful message if he didn't.
I think you saw at Swansea, it looked like he wanted to sulk his way through the game to make a statement almost, but at the same time there was like a conflict with his desire to just play football once he was on the field. So it didn't really negatively impact his play, but he still didn't celebrate. He looked proper glum when he was warming up, and obviously when he went off.
He looked a bit singled out, though. I don't know, was it Rooney that was sulking, or were other people kind of not including him?
Well, he was included in the team-building wags and players meal this week, and reportedly laughing and joking.
With the secret David Moyes speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, that no one's allowed to know. Yeah. Everyone was sworn to secrecy.
But suddenly Mike Keegan got word of it, which there was apparently no staff, and all the waiters and everybody had to go out. So nobody knows what actually went on in this speech.
Well, that is shocking that the Manchester Evening Blues might have made something up for a story. Good God. Knock me over with a feather.
But, I mean, we're talking about Rooney again, and we probably will be until he leaves.
Or stays.
Or leaves.
Glass half full, glass half empty.
So, same lineup that we did against Swansea, or would you change it?
I'd bring Fabio in for Jones, personally.
Yeah, I think that would be a great shout. I'd possibly look at not starting Giggs as well. He was fairly wasteful with possession.
Who would you start on the left?
Shinji. I think Shinji needs to play.
It's just whether he's up to it yet. He's obviously been eased back in slowly after his Japanese exertions over the summer. He hasn't played an awful lot. He didn't play at all last week, did he? So it's just whether, I guess with another good week of training under his belt, he might be ready. But
I know what we should do. We should put Danny Welbeck on the left. Classic move.
That wouldn't surprise me.
But he doesn't score enough goals from the left, as we all know.
So, Sam, you first. Score prediction.
Oh, we're doing this again, are we?
Yeah, go
on. 2-1 United.
2-1 United?
Yes, again.
First goal scorer?
Danny.
Mark.
Ever the pessimist, I think we're going to get battered 7-0. No, I think we'll probably just edge it 2-1. I think Chelsea are going to score first.
Yeah? Nick?
I'm going to continue my record of predicting a draw and hoping that we win 4-1. So 2-2.
2-2. I'm going to go for 3-2 this week. We'll win 3-2, that is.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Van Persie to score first.
Okay.
So that's the Chelsea segment over. Bit of transfer news this week, if you haven't already heard. Scott Wooten has moved from Manchester United to Leeds in a £1 million deal. Leeds have paid Manchester United £350,000 up front, and we'll get a further £650,000 add-ons depending on appearances. Good move for Scott.
Yeah, good luck to the lad. He got. Well, there were some people, I think, thinking that you shouldn't move from United to Leeds or whatever, some kind of ridiculous premise like that. But if you're good enough to be, if I was good enough to be a professional footballer, I would play for whoever would have me. And if that was Leeds, and so be it.
I mean,
so
certainly the
good
right
luck.
level for him, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Wooten
he was never going to make it.
Is a decent championship level defender. So
Premier League defender was he? But he's certainly going to be a good championship defender. I think
Michael
he'll make a good
Keane
career
was
out of
always above Scott Wooten. Never thought it from the start. Michael Keane come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I think the Carling Cup games or Capital One Cup games last season, you could see the two of them. Keane was the one who stood out. Wooten was the one who was more shaky.
Chelsea Wooten had a bit of a nightmare towards the end of the game, didn't he?
People
that was I was down there for that one. It was sad to see because he had played well, but there were just some magnified mistakes.
Especially late on, which probably is down to tiredness as much as anything. Not used to playing in such a big game,
like Zeki Friars. Can you remember when he got cramp? When he got down by James,
tripped up by a ghost.
That was the best thing ever.
Look it up on YouTube. It's glorious.
But no, good luck to Scott Wooten.
Not too much good luck though.
No, not at Leeds anyway.
It's good move for him, but it doesn't mean we want him to do well.
I want Leeds to come back up because I really miss United Leeds games.
Yeah, they kind of fell into the irrelevant zone, aren't they?
Yes and no. If Leeds came up this season, which I can't see them doing really,
back to fire, won't it?
Yeah, but
it's not anymore, is it? They hate us, and we don't care at the minute.
But that was one point. There is a Leeds United blog, and their title that come up on News Now was scum player signs for Leeds. I was like, oh.
That's classy, isn't it?
I thought he's going to get a nice welcome then from them, isn't he?
Right, brilliant. So that is episode 3 of the Red Mancunian podcast. Once again, thank you for listening and getting us high up in the charts each week. Nick, how can you subscribe to the Red Mancunian podcast?
I would probably go to iTunes.
Would
type
you?
in Red
It's a
Mancunian.
good plan. It's a good plan.
That's definitely the easiest way to do it.
More than likely.
You can also, of course, find the podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Type in Red Mancunian. And you can find us also on Twitter, which will be tweeting 10 a.m. on the Friday when it goes live on the website. And the Twitter mark is...
At Red Mancunian.
So it is. We shall see you next week.